spring for more than 250 years, gypsies have come to the Appleby Fair from all over Britain. While the tourists look on, Romany gypsies prepare their stock for sale in a tradition which goes back hundreds of years.
Appleby Horse Fair to us is like a pilgrimage. It's the only one of its kind left in the world, and it's the oldest one in the world. It's everything, it's who we are, and it's everything we've ever been. It's everything we've ever been and everything we're going to be.
When it's sun shining like this, there's no better place. Look all around.
When the sun's shining like this, it's God's country, innit?
Billy Welch is the organiser of the Appleby Fair, just like his father was before him.
There was free made, that one. I'll tell you who made my lads.
Under British and European law, gypsies are recognised as a distinct ethnic minority. For centuries, however, they've been branded as itinerant vagabonds, reviled and marginalised.
And it doesn't bother us that much because after generations and generations of abuse, your skin tends to go thick. I mean, you get used to it.
The fair is a rare occasion where gypsies are given an open invitation to park their caravans and enjoy each other's company without fear of arrest or eviction. But these modern-day nomads view non-gypsies, the settled community, with suspicion. And while ordinary Britons might enjoy a burst of the colourful culture, increasingly they too view the other side with suspicion. These days, traditional or Romany gypsies are now just a portion of the community collectively known as travellers.
I'm a bit small. Usually I have higher shoes on me.
Many other groups make up a diverse population. People like Kathleen McCarthy, who's known as an Irish traveller.
But making us move from spot to spot and go into this car park and that car park, then we got a reputation, we're gypsies. So now nobody wants us.
Over the past 10 years, there's been a gradual decrease in the number of legal campsites, leading to a shortfall. 1 in 3 travellers now lives on an illegal site.
I'm not moving! The muscle for me! I'm not moving!
Today, relations between gypsies and the settled community in Britain are fraught.
Come on, leave him! He's an old man! He's an old man! Let's get these people. Can you get out of the way?
The threat of eviction hangs over dozens of communities.
Go! Stop it then! You pushed me! You pushed me off of that country! You did!
For travellers, it's their recurring nightmare. An army of bailiffs sent in under police protection.
Travellers have to have rights. I agree with you. And I'm willing to take my 3 kids and go to prison. I am willing to do that. We're here 4 years. We never done wrong.
We have got nowhere to go. You can hold that spoils. We've got nowhere to go.
The tabloid press quickly whipped the issue into a frenzy. Neither the Conservative leader nor the tabloid editors would speak to foreign correspondent, but a prominent defender of the travellers in the House of Lords did.
I thought it was a wicked thing to do, to stir up animosity towards gypsies at the time when the election was in progress.
So he was basically whipping up hatred?
He was whipping up hatred in a way that I think was verging on unlawfulness, because, of course, under our law, it is an offence to incite racial hatred.
Middle England has also become increasingly frustrated with the ruling Labour Party's inaction.
Strawberry and rubber flavour.
Yes,
The children like them.
Cottenham is the birthplace of author Samuel Pepys. It's a twee slice of postcard Britain where life moves to a leisurely pace. Each year, All Saints' Church, led by Vicar Michael Hoare, hosts a flower festival to celebrate spring. But with a burgeoning traveller campsite on the edge of town, many in Cottenham feel a distinct chill in the air. 2 years ago, the peaceful rhythm of the village was shattered when up to 800 Irish travellers arrived on a traditional gypsy campsite known as Smithy Fen.
Then they proceeded to turn this village into their own private playground.
Resident Terry Brownhill accused the new arrivals of wreaking havoc in genteel Cottenham.
There was an elderly couple that were sitting behind one of the travellers, and they bipped their horn. And the traveller got out with a monkey wrench and smashed all the windows in their car and just calmly got in the car and drove off. And in broad daylight, and people just thought, what on earth is going on here? We'd never seen anything like it.
The two communities now keep very much to themselves. The travellers have been barred from many shops and businesses and are rarely seen in the village.
Myself personally, I would evict them, but that would only really move the problem onto somebody else, which isn't really fair, but there you go. I mean, we've had our fair share of them here. They've been here, it must be 2 or 3 years now. We've suffered more than enough in the village, so I would vote to evict them.
That's licences that comes under on the agenda, basically.
Locals agreed they had to take action.
But you don't necessarily want all your tactics going back to South Cambs, especially when we've got a bloody ruckus going on.
A resident of 18 years, Terry Brownhill spearheads a movement called Middle England in Revolt, which aims to take Cottenham's strategy to other communities in Britain.
Because we could then feed back the information to that faction, as it were.
To pressure local authorities into action, residents voted to stop paying council tax for several months.
Withholding council tax means that over £1 million would have been taken out of their budget. That's a big amount to take out of your budget. And that's why we did it. And it was also giving them the problem.
Yet despite several inquiries, the local council, until now, has failed to find a solution.
What angers the settled community is that there is one law for the settled community and one law for travellers.
Smithy Fen travellers weren't prepared to talk.
So how long have they been there?
These were the English ones that the Irish drove them out of.
Today, relations with the village remain tense, and some believe the campaign begun by Middle England in Revolt has been unproductive.
On one level, it's understandable. People are by nature reactive, and Middle England in Revolt is a good example of that. That having been said, I think that they overstate their case. If they concentrated more on trying to understand and negotiate and find compromises, then I think all of us might find that life would be easier.
If you ask the travellers, life on the move is rarely easy. Travellers from Dale Farm abandoned their caravans for a few hours to visit the Houses of Parliament in Westminster, London's political heart. Among them is spokeswoman Kathleen McCarthy.
And the Gypsies and the Roman travellers need help from the government.
She's hoping to persuade politicians to end the shortage of campsites and prevent future evictions.
I hope this will be a practical meeting.
There are several high-profile supporters, including actor Corin Redgrave and peer Lord Eric Avebury.
But I wish you every success in the remainder of the meeting and in the campaign to ensure that evictions do not proceed pending the resolution of this problem on a national level. They have a case because you've got this enormous number of homeless people, and even according to the government's definition, a person is homeless if he's got a caravan and there's nowhere that he can lawfully station it.
The Blair government has promised a major overhaul to provide enough pitches or sites for travellers and gypsies. The review is due out any day, but could still take years to implement. From a tiny legal caravan site set up 5 years ago, Dale Farm is now a suburb of fiberglass on wheels for 1,000 travellers. Half of the expanded site has been bought by the travellers themselves. They say they had no option except to buy it and live on it, even though it's designated as pastoral land, where development is supposed to be prohibited. Dale Farm has been the home of spokeswoman Kathleen McCarthy for 4 years.
Hello, Jane.
Hi, Kathleen. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you as well.
This is a lovely caravan.
Mrs. McCarthy is 42. She's lived in a caravan all her life and spent just 7 weeks in school.
This caravan, I have this a long time.
She's virtually illiterate, getting others to read and write for her. She recalls the day 2 months ago when Conservative Party leader Michael Howard was spotted peering over the fence into the campsite, sparking a nasty and emotive campaign by the tabloid press.
He brought so much hatred because then the Sun paper took on us. And what the Sun did then, they found anywhere, any piece of ground that was nearer to caravans to video all the dirt and everything. And then they made it look like it was belonged to the travellers.
Mrs. McCarthy says when she heard Michael Howard had come to Dale Farm, she tried to talk to him, but he disappeared into a residents' meeting.
So then I thought, well, we'll get in contact with Michael Howard to find out, will he meet me to hear 2 sides of the story? You know how many letters I sent, how many phone calls I made, and he never had the decency to even reply back. And
Kathleen McCarthy lives on unemployment and child support benefits, totalling $500 a week.
I can entirely understand that as well.
I put it to her that critics say travellers live off handouts without returning anything to society. So, do you pay taxes?
Yeah, we all pay taxes.
What kind of taxes? Council tax and...
Yes, at the moment we pay council tax and road tax, and just like everybody else, when you get your shop and your taxes, all that kind of thing. But for a job and to pay taxes on a job, we don't, because we haven't got a job to do that. And it's very hard when you can't read or write to get a job. It is very, very hard.
But on the other side of the steel fence, built by the travellers' neighbour Len Gridley, there's a very different story.
These people down here, they want everything out of society, but pay nothing in. They want our schools, they want our hospitals, they want our doctors, and everything else, but they don't want to pay anything in. That's wrong. That's when they got evicted at Chelmsford. Right. That's how the bailiffs go in.
Mr. Gridley is one of the chief opponents to the travellers. His family has owned this property for 20 years, hoping to live amid the solitude and beauty of the English countryside.
Yeah, well, no, we'll play. Who doesn't like the Gypsies?
Mr. Gridley says that due to the travellers' presence, he can't sell his home, which has plummeted in value. And he's acquired a massive guard dog named Ben.
I'm not living in the countryside, I'm living in a prison. You know, in the last 4 years, I've spent over £10,000 on security here. You know, that's not normal for a normal house. Not in the countryside, you know. Who's caused the problem? I haven't, they have. So whatever it cost, they've got to go.
I've got an insurance policy against them. Anything happens to me, both these sites will disappear overnight. They would just be bombed. And I don't care, because I'll be dead anyway, so they can come with me.
If his house has gone down in value, it's because he's done it his own self, not us. He's spread the word that the Gypsies has moved in, they're bad people, and we want them out. He is so full of hatred and discrimination that it's just... I got shocked.
Gypsies and travellers are starting to fight back.
Stop the eviction! Stop the eviction! Stop the eviction!
The travellers were given 2 years to leave Dale Farm. Women and children held a protest, pleading for the local council not to evict them. But without further appeals, eviction orders are due to be served at any moment, even as many travellers realise their future survival calls for a measure of stability.
We want planning permission to be left live, with an outside toilet, flushing water, electricity. That's all we want. We want planning permission for that. And I don't think it's a hard thing to ask the government of this country for.
Out of the way. This is not yours, this is ours. Do you understand? You do something fair now. You get on and do it then. You put your finger on that down there, rescue. Do you understand? I'm telling you that now.
This was the scene at a small campsite called Twin Oaks earlier this year.
Pregnant woman being attacked by the police! I'm not a pregnant woman being attacked by the police! Hi, I'm in the middle of a bloody riot, love, and the police are beating people up, and there's a pregnant woman dropped on the floor. I need an ambulance.
Evictions cost local governments hundreds of thousands of dollars each year, the result of the Conservative Party's 11-year-old law leaving responsibility for caravan sites to the whim of local councils.
They came down about 4 o'clock this morning and just started ramming the doors and breaking all the fences down. They didn't give us a chance or nothing.
Wherever these travellers move next, they will still be trespassers. Hundreds of years since gypsies and travellers first began to be marginalised, in this century they still wait for acceptance, respect and equality.
I'll give 100 quid back out of 4300. I'll give 100 quid back. No, I'll give 100 quid back. Listen, you have to have, honestly, no.
This unique ritual is how gypsies seal a deal on the sale of a horse.
4300.
No pact has yet been reached with the politicians or the settled community they represent. The clash with the travellers has placed a great strain on Britain's reputation for tolerance and civility. No one can be sure when peace and harmony might return to the English countryside.